we are going from this concurrency model. So why we are going for this concurrency model is that we are having different objects that are being that might be in different parallel execution during their state, or we can say that during their transition. So there might be some cases while when you are going for this concurrency, that is uh, when you are having some shareable objects associated with you. So in that case we can say that your objects are not supposed to be the autonomous, because a state of one object may suffer the state of another object. So uh, theoretically we can say that objects are usually autonomous and they are independent of each other. But when we are going from this uh, shareable objects, then we cannot say that our objects are truly independent of each other, because they are sharing some common data that are being available. So while considering all this concurrency, we are in three types of aggregation that are being available. Let's say again I am considering this example. So uh, when we are going from this uh, aggregation model available, so usually your state diagram, look at this. So this is my state diagram that is being available. So this my state diagram is usually supposed to be an assembly or collection of state diagrams available. So look at here. So this is supposed to be a collection of different state diagrams available, and we can represent all those state diagrams as an aggregation or aggregation relationship in between them. So this aggregate state corresponds when we are considering all those things. So these are usually in aggregate states that corresponds to your combined states of all parts. So this is an whole, and this is one part, this is another part, and this is another part, and this is again another part. So and your car has some ignition, your car has a transition, your car is an acceleration state, your car is either in brake state. So when we are going from these aggregate states, what we can say that our state model is just an combination of different states, or combination of all these parts. So usually in aggregation is the uh, has a relationship that is available. So this car has a ignition, this car has a state of transmission, and so on. So usually the aggregate state is a one state from your first diagram. And so let's say this is an one state, so this ignition has again its own state diagram, again this object has its own state transition, sorry, state diagram, and again this acceleration is again having the state diagram. So what we can say that uh, we are combining all those diagrams in one shot, and we are providing an aggregation view of your concurrent states that are being available. So we can say that our states are now interacting with each other. So when we are going for this diagram, when this car is represented as an aggregation of different parts like in ignition and transmission, acceleration and brake, plus some, we can have some unmentioned objects available here. So I am not mentioning all those objects here. Now the state of this car includes one state from each part. So this is again state. So this uh, represents your one of the states. Now when each part is undergoes this transition that are being executed in parallel, so this uh, we can say that these all states will going on execution in parallel with each other. So this is how we can manage all those aggregation and concurrent activities in one shot diagram, instead of representing differently and then mapping all those activities. When we are going from this concurrent activities, we can say that we can map all those concurrent activities in your aggregation part available over here. Now the another part of this concurrency is that this concurrency within your object. Now before this diagram we are having some objects, and these objects are different states. Now we are going from this concurrency within your object. Now what is this concurrency within our object that is being available? So uh, while when going for this state diagram for this concurrency, we can partition few of objects. I'm not saying that I'm partitioning all objects, but we can partition a few of objects into some sets, some subsets of your attributes or links. So when we are in some attributes or we are in some links, then we can partition all those into different subsets, and all these subsets is represent as as their sub diagram. So when we are going from an whole state diagram, so we can model them as a sub diagram. So in the prior case, we aggregated all those states in a single diagram. Now we are going from this spatialization as a view. So what we are trying to do is then we are dividing our whole diagram into different sub diagrams that is being available. So you'll check over here. So when we are having some different states associated with this uh, objects, though, so this state of your objects may comprise of one state of each sub diagram. So when we are going, we can have multiple states, so we can use a single state of each object to model this concurrency, because we are having concurrent activities that are being carried out by your objects. So at a time, an object may be uh, in a single state at particular instant of time. So when we are having some concurrent activity, so we can, what we can do is that we can draw uh, we can catch up a single state right from each objects, and we can model them as a simple sub diagram over here. So your sub diagrams may be dependent or may not be independent in each case, because some events may cause your transition in more than one sub diagram. So uh, we can usually assume that they are independent, but in most cases that might be in dependent, because we are having some state transition that are being available and that carried out from one state to another state. So when we are going from UML specification, so you can model all those reflects when you are playing some rubber game that is being available. So when we are having two sides that are being available, so one side wins a game, it becomes a vulnerable, because the rule says that for playing this rubber game is that you have to at least two concurrent game or consecutive games at least. So when we are having, when we are going to start from one state, so we are not, sorry, we are in idle state, so we are not in a state of vulnerable. Then when we are going for going to the another state, that let's say we are having two teams, that is NS and EW. So when we are having some, when NS wins your game, so you are in some vulnerable state. Then when you are going from again NS wins that, so it means that you are going from some two consecutive wins, so you are again now in some non-vulnerable state, or you can say that your NS team wins your rubber game and so on. So uh, here there might be some chances that after winning this first win, that is from your NS game, this NS game might lose an game. So we are having two um, just a minute, let's say I am having two transition available over here. So this is not possible. So I'm green available. Yeah, no. So let's say I'm drawing an again transition right from here. So here your EW uh, wins your game. So again here you might be in some non-vulnerable. So you are again vulnerable state available here. So when we are considering all those successes over here, so what we can do is that we can modeling some few of the activities or few of the states, and the remaining states will be removed from this. So this is how we can manage your different concurrency. So let's say I'm not going from, let's say this is NS game, let's say this is a team A and this is a team B, and we are starting a game. So right from your starting point available here, so either the first game or sorry, we are in some non-vulnerable state available here. So we are in again in non-vulnerable state available here. Now, either in this state, either a team A wins or your team B wins. So instead of mapping all those things, what we can do is that we are going only for the winning of A. So this we are going some pattern for winning A. Now we are again in a state of vulnerable here. Now either a team A wins or a team B wins over here. So because we are considering only few states available here, because we are drawing some sub diagrams, or we are considering only few states from all the states that are being achieved by your object. So we are considering a few states. So we are considering a sub diagram instead of having your full diagram. So we are again some non-vulnerable cases available here. Again, for this case, you are in non-vulnerable state, and your team B wins, so you become on the vulnerable state, and then again your team A wins or your team B wins. So it might be some cases that either both of the team can win. So this is my this might be my team wins or not. So it solely depends how you can go for all those sorts of things. So we are considering only few diagrams that are being available. Fine. So now moving to the next slide. So again, when we are mapping all those concurrency within objects, what we can do is that we can draw some sub diagram instead of having a full diagram that is being available for us. Now, the third item is that we are having some synchronization for your concurrent activities. Now we are having some state, then we are going from objects. Now we are having some activities that are being available. So we like to synchronize all those concurrent activities over here. So sometimes your one object must perform two or more activities simultaneously, or we can say concurrently. So your object does not synchronize the internal states of your activities, but what we are saying that they must complete all those activities before moving to the next step. So when we are having, at least we are performing some activities, or we are performing at least two or three activities, so instead of considering that they might be dependent or they might not be dependent on each other, so the our criteria is that, so when you are moving from one activity to another activity, or when you are moving from one step to another state, our must criteria is that when you are moving to next step, all those concurrent activities should be completed. Like this, consider this example. So we are having some cash dispenser machine available. So in this cash dispenser machine available, you are in some step. Let's say you are setting up your activities, like you are entering your data, and you are entering your pin, and you are making some transaction. So while you are making some transaction, we are having two parallel activities that are being carried out. First is this cash dispenser machine dispenses his cash. So these are two do activities that are being available, and these are entry and the exit activities. So while we are considering sir, right, either in previous class or previous to previous classes, we had gone over this activities and their start and exit activities. So this is my do activities are available. So this do then forward slash suggests that we are having two activities on each transition. Either it dispenses caches, or it either or we can or this machine can eject card. So these are two activities that are being carried out parallelly. So first, the machine uh, uh, calculate or compute dispenses cash of your required amount, or in parallel it rejects your card. So when we are in these two parallel activities, the order does not matters, because either I can take cash right from your dispenser machine, or I can eject my card first. So it solely depends how you are going for, either from going for dispenser, or you can find some eject card. So when I am saying that we are having some synchronization of concurrent activities, it means that when we are moving to the next step, or when we are moving to the next state, our uh, uh, must activity is that we have to complete all those activities that are carrying out parallelly. So when we are moving out and we are going to log out on state, or when we are moving to ready to reset all those proportion, we have to carry out pick out our uh, ATM card and we have to take out our cash right from your dispenser available there. So these are two activities and order doesn't matter. So what we can have is available is here is that you are having some uh, fork activity. So this you can fork all those activities that are carrying out by parallel, and then you can map all those in your rounded rectangle, and these are being and these parallel activities are represented as a dotted line. So each partition reflects your uh, concurrent activities, and all those activities are placed in your do activities right in your uh, state diagram. So this is my states available, and we can write these do states in your states. So fine. So this is how uh, uh, we can map our concurrent activities in parallel to your states and different states available here. So now the next is and the next the last item of uh, our last topic of our second syllabus second unit is that we are having some relation of your uh, classes and the state models. So finally we are having some states available, we are having some classes available, and these classes have your objects and each objects have their states associated with uh, their and these states are usually the dynamic behavior of your classes. So when we are going to map all those state models, so this your state model just specifies the allowable sequence of changes to your objects from your the class model. So when we are saying that you are having some allowable sequence, that means you are mapping all those dynamic behavior of your system, or in uh, a simple way we can say that it is mapping your dynamic behavior of your particular object when it receives some input from another object, or it some transition file. So we can say that we are mapping a dynamic behavior of your classes right through your state models. So usually your state is a state structure. When we are going for your state structure, so your state structure may contain states and events and transitions and activities and so on. So your structure is related to and constrained by your class structure. So when we are having some nested state, so this state defines the values and the links that an object can have. So in short and sweet way we can say that uh, the state of your class, or the state structure, that is how they are going to map your attributes and your different links. So these are usually solely depend on your class structure, because your class is having attributes and properties. So all these properties define the state of your particular object. So we can say that your state just depends or related to your class structure. And when we are having some nested state, it means that we are having different values and different links that are associated with your objects. Now we can have a generalization for both classes and your nested states. So all this can be partitioned into a set of possible object values. So we can apply all those aggregation, or we can say that we can apply your generalization even to your classes and even to your states, and we can map all those things into your available object values. When we are having a single object, so your single object can have a different states, and these different states are usually some depends on your particular instant of time. So at that particular moment of instant of time, your object must preserve their identity. So when an object has some state and it may have different state available, so what you can do is that you have to maintain their identity with particular classes, because uh, your object is just an instance of your class. So you have to maintain, or you have to preserve the identity of your class. So it means that your object does not belongs to two or more than two classes. It should belong to a single class available here. Now, uh, when we are going from some composite state, so when we are in some this composite state, that means that we are mapping some aggregation over here. So when we are aggregation, it means that we are mapping some concurrent states, or we are mapping some concurrent substates. So there are three sources of concurrency with your class model. The first is an aggregation of objects, जो हमने पढ़ा था. So when we are going from this aggregation of object, it means that each part of your aggregation has its own independent states. And when we are going from this assembly, we can consider a state that is a combination of different parts available. So look at this figure. So what we can say that we are having uh, aggregation of different states. So these are aggregation of different states are available over here, and we are going from assembly of all those states. And we are when we are going from considering all this assembly, it means that we are considering a single state available. So this is a single state that is being available, and all those states are combined to your whole part. So we are having some the single states, and we are considering its whole dynamic behavior of this particular object over here, and then we are going to aggregate all those things. Now again, so we are having three sources of concurrency. So first is your aggregation of your objects. Now the second source is that second source of aggregation is your aggregation within objects. So this is how we can manage our aggregation within objects. So when we are going from this aggregation within objects, so we are having some values and we are having some links for in your objects, and these objects are usually represented as in parts or the groups of different objects, or that in or you are having different states for your uh, objects. So for this different parallel uh, states, you can map, or you have some sub diagrams, and you are considering only few of uh, states for particular object. Now the third source of concurrent behavior of your object is just on your synchronization of your activities. So what you can have, you are having parallel activities, and you are modeling all those parallel activities, and you can move to your next activity after completing all the steps of your concurrent activities that are being available. Now again, the state model of a class is inherited by its subclasses. So when we are in state model of particular class, so all those states are usually inherited by their subclasses only. So their subclass objects can have a same state model that is an object of superclass can have. So your subclasses inherits both the states of their ancestors as well as their uh, transition. So it inherits like your ancestor states and their transition, even their activities and what we can say events associated with them. So when you are having this type of subclasses, so these subclasses can have their own sub diagrams in addition to that their superclass state model. So again question arises that when we are having a class that is having a state model of his super class as well as its particular subclass, so how this two different state model interact with each other. So let's say if your subclasses superclass state diagrams and the subclass state diagrams, uh, that might be some disjoint cases, or that may comes from your non-disjoint cases. So we have some different strategies that are being available for us. So let's say consider that you are dealing with some disjoint sets, that is your state model of your superclass having some different states available, and your state model of your subclasses having different uh, states available. So in that case we don't have any problem associated with each other. But when we are going from this composite state, that is when we are having uh, uh, this states of your subclasses and states of your superclasses, when combining with each other, so they are making some composite states. So instead what we can do is that we can map all those interaction with your concurrency. So thus, a concurrency can help in mapping inheritance of your state models also. Now, so this is are the simple cases how we can go for modeling our state diagrams and different class diagrams. So this is I can say I'm just completing my second chapter over here now.